Previously in the GIM series. This is 416 Hero. We have set our sights on a new goal, acquiring the max cape. Right now we are in a race against the clock. Let me explain. Every 50 minutes or so we do a birdhouse run, and we are fast approaching level 89 Hunter. At level 89 Hunter, we unlock redwood birdhouses, the highest tier. However, they come with a second requirement, 90 crafting. We're not going to be slowing down on those birdhouse runs, so let's get to crafting. Oh, hello there. This is Wait For It, and yes, it's actually the same person, still me, just on a different account. A quick explainer for new viewers to the series, this account was created well beyond the existence of 416 Hero, before the start of the entire YouTube series. I was already maxed and I already had most of the PVM items, especially the mega rares in the game. Grandmaster, well, I accomplished that relatively recently actually. Nevertheless, 416 Hero's Max and Grind will have access to this account's bank, and we have ample supplies and resources sitting in there. Furthermore, throughout this max and grind, I'm going to be enjoying myself on this account and doing various PVM activities. 88, I was going to say agility, it's crafting. No unlocks this time around. Feels like the previous 8 levels or so, every single level we got some kind of unlock, but not at 88 apparently. When we first started this race between crafting and hunter levels, we were just 77 crafting and 86 hunter, I believe. But now crafting has surpassed it, and we're sitting at 88 crafting, closer to 89 actually, and we're at 87 hunter. Safe to say we're going to hit 90 crafting before 89 hunter. Before we went on this crafting grind, we were on the rooftops of Relica, training our agility, and we recently acquired the Colossal Worm Graceful outfit as well. I know we have a long road ahead of us in terms of maxing, as we're not even 2000 total level yet. However, I do plan on getting 99 agility out the way sooner than later. And so with the long grind, as I touched on earlier, I'll be PVMing on the already maxed Grandmaster account. One of the things we've been doing recently is Vardorvis, so I've been swinging my scythe constantly. And we're at the point now where we have to charge our scythe. We're just down to 131 charges remaining. This is probably the lowest amount of charges I've seen in my scythe, short of it being completely uncharged. Let's get back to Vardorvis. Let's take a look at the collection log real quick though, actually. We're up to 1712 total, and there's nothing in particular we're looking for. Getting the Soul Reaper Axe, Executioner's Axe Head, and getting the pet would be fantastic. But my main goal right now is simply to get to 2000 Vardorvis KC. This is a very arbitrary reason. I just want to round it out nicely on the high scores. And then after that, we'll probably look to do something else. And the first KC of the session, what are we going to get here? Start us off strong, please. You know, that's pretty good. A supply drop. That'll extend the trip. As I said, the main reason why we're here is simply just to get our total KC up to a nice clean 2000 number. However, if we get our hands on a second Ultor ring somehow, that would be fantastic for the other account. Currently, we are just on ring roll number 1, which we acquired in the last video. Yes, despite us being in the 1700s numbers for KC, I didn't get my first Ultor completion until 1508 KC. So in terms of that, I was pretty unlucky. And I suppose not even having the axe head here is also unlucky. But that's from the past, and we can only move forward and continue getting KC. Now for anybody that may not know, what does one ring roll signify? Well, one ring roll means you get one gold ring, which is typically not on the drop table here at Vardorvis. That one ring, that one gold ring, signifies that you're 1 out of 3 on the ring rolls. You need a total of 3 ring rolls to get the Ultor Vestige. Now, way back in the past, upon Desert Treasure 2 release, this ring roll was hidden. There was no way of knowing whether you were 1 out of 3, or 2 out of 3, or even 0 out of 3. At some point down the line, they made an update that introduced the gold rings. That way we have a visual indicator to see our progress. Now, I mentioned that I was actually pretty unlucky here in terms of getting the Ultor Vestige on my first grind around here. And that's because the Ultor is a 1 in 1008 drop rate, if I recall correctly off the top of my head. So us taking all the way up to 1508 KC is definitely a little unlucky. Last KC of the first trip here, 150 Dragon Dart tips. That is a fantastic drop. Probably one of the better drops you can get here at Vardorvis. As with all Desert Treasure 2 bosses, the drop tables have something that's pretty interesting, but equally, they also have some drops that are pretty troll. I'm not sure what it is at Vardorvis. It's got to be like bronze javelin heads or something like that. Or in the middle of a Vardorvis trip right now, but we just hit 89 crafting. Members can now cut Zenites. That is absolutely massive. Craft Zenite rings. That's for the Ring of Suffering. And craft Amethyst Dart tips. Now that's also relevant for us. Although for most other people, solo Ironman, that's seemingly insignificant at this stage of progression, but that's very good for us because we can just mine a bunch of amethyst on the maxed account, and that could be some fletching EXP that way, which we do need a lot of because currently we're just 74 fletching right now. Anyways, in terms of our short-term goals, we're now just one level away from the targeted 90, and we're still level 87 hunter right now, despite doing birdhouse runs on cooldown. Honestly, the crafting EXP has come a lot quicker than I initially anticipated when I first started this race. And that's because I didn't really anticipate doing battle staves and cutting gems. In my mind, I was just thinking about gold bars and turning them into either bracelets or tiaras, and in which that would be significantly slower EXP. But gaining levels is by no means a bad thing. It just puts us one step closer to being maxed. Checking in at a pretty nice little milestone here, 1750 KC. So we're 250 away until 2000. Now I did start this grind at Vardorvis at 1509. And while KCs here at Vardorvis are relatively quick, especially in comparison to the other two Desert Treasure 2 bosses, this is very mentally taxing in my opinion. I don't know, it just requires a lot more focus, and obviously I'm also trying to do some crafting on the side semi-efficiently. So I guess it all adds up. With that being said, I think for today my target goal is going to get to 1,800, and then we'll probably look to do something else. I'm actually running pretty low on these bluefin tunas I've been using anyways. The thing about Ironman progression is the gameplay loop is really nice. So here I am at Vardorvis, and I'm burning up all my food, right? Progressing in the KCs, which is what I want. And as I said, I think I need a break. Well, catching bluefin tunas would be a nice break, which would also help with my progression. Well, yeah, I think the game plan is we're going to hit 1800, and then we'll look to do something else. I probably should catch bluefin tunas, but at the same time, I have ample food in my bank, so maybe we'll do that, maybe we won't. We'll just figure it out when we get to 1800. While we're on the topic of Ironman grinds, while there's never really a true definitive end in sight, it's safe to say that where this account lies, we have already been over the hump of most of the PVM gear progression. Now, looking back and even revisiting some of these grinds like Vardorvis right now, I have to think to myself, how on earth did I manage to go through those grinds, especially in lesser gear? Although the bulk of my Vardorvis grind was with a Scythe of Vitter, thankfully, I did do a fair few hundred KCs here, I believe with a Blade of Saildor, maybe even a Tentacle Whip, and I certainly didn't have O-Plate. And this is just one such example. For example, the Zolra grind was done with a Bofa, although maybe the Bofa's not the best example, but even going for the Bofa itself at the Corrupted Gauntlet, I did 40 to 50 KCs a day, and looking back at it, that is absolutely insane. But I guess Ironman progression, especially in the early to mid game, is just absolutely addicting. Well, one good way to break up the Vardorvis grind up to 2000 KC is to do these birdhouse runs every 45 to 50 minutes. We're actually running low on these magic logs, and we're going to have to transfer some more over. This account can even get magic logs itself at 71 woodcutting, and certainly all the magic logs we got from Wintertot through 99 firemaking are long gone by now. Well, with the birdhouse run done with, let's head back to our cozy spot at the Mist Guild. But in speaking about the magic logs, and once we hit our goals, we're going to need redwood logs. I'm going to be doing the same thing and transferring over redwood logs. but wood cutting is something I obviously have to do down the line, but I'm kind of purposely saving that for later because wood cutting is a very cozy grind, and I'm trying to get the things that I don't necessarily want to do out the way early, such as agility. This 90 crafting and 89 hunter is kind of just a pit stop because, well, we need the 90 crafting before we hit 89 hunter. But agility, we're going to try to get from 87 to 99 sooner than later. When I made up my mind that I'm going to be taking a break at 1800 KC rather than grinding all the way to 2000 all in one go, honestly, I think I've kicked up the KC an hour a little bit. The motivation is a little higher now to get to that finish line, or checkpoint rather, because 2000 is still going to be our finish line here. So it's definitely beneficial to set your sights on a closer, more obtainable goal, and this is applicable in just about anything you do, right? And especially in our maxing grind. Besides, the objective of us playing this account is to give us that freedom to do whatever we want in the moment and change things up from content to content while we're locked down on skilling on the other account. And speaking of the other account, it's time for a birdhouse run again. In terms of crafting, we are now just 209k EXP removed from hitting our goal of 90 crafting. Throughout this crafting grind, we started out with battle staves and then transitioned over to gems once we ran out of those, and we've been doing the best available EXP possible. So we started out with air orbs and then went all the way down and through to our earth orbs. I don't think we ever actually touched the water orbs, to be fair, because we just ran out of battle staves. But same idea with the gems. We started out with diamonds and now we downgraded to rubies. While I still do have some rubies left, I'm going to go ahead and go into the group storage here, and I've actually been obtaining more uncut diamonds on the maxed account through various grinds. I think Vardorvis specifically actually drops a couple of these too, so that's pretty cool. So we're going to speed up this remaining 89 to 90 crafting grind, and we'll be there real shortly. 12 KC to go until we take our break at 1800 KC, but I've been thinking, I think this is the most use I've had out of my Radiant Oathplate helmet since I've acquired it. In most situations where you would want to wear Oathplate, you'd probably wear it in combination with the Torva helmet just because you want that max hit. But I guess Vardorvis is one of the few exceptions. Completely out of supplies, and we're just 1 KC shy of our target. It always seems to end up like that, but let's bank and then head back and finish the job. In situations like this, more times than not, I would be like, let's just do the whole trip since we geared up anyways. But I am really ready to take a break from Vardorvis, so we're just going to go ahead and do the 1 KC. Maybe we'll get lucky, and actually it's not even lucky anymore. We're due for the Executioner's Axe Head. I would very much appreciate it if we got it. Let's see what happens. And with that swing, that is 1800 KC, and we get 57 silver ore. Looking into our bank here, before we started our Zora and Vardorvis grinds recently, I'm pretty sure I had like 1600 bluefin tunas. Now, we're below 100. Bluefins are one of the best healing foods, but they're particularly useful in situations like Zora and Vardorvis, where you know you're going to be using prayer and you're going to be taking damage no matter what. Because bluefin tunas heal for 22 health, equivalent to anglerfish and manta rays, but they also give you 5 prayer back. Honestly, everything from trawling, all the fish are really strong. So, as I alluded to earlier, let's go ahead and do some trawling to get some more bluefins. I actually haven't done any trawling since the initial few weeks of the sailing release, and the bluefins have lasted till now. I've made my way to Deepfin Point, where I last parked my trawling boat, and honestly it's probably been here for many months. But anyways, while we're here at Deepfin Point, let me just say I feel like Deepfin Point can easily be coined as the central hub to the sailing skill, and not so much Pandemonium, because this island I feel like has more to offer and is more integral to the skill in general. Up here we have resources like lead and nickel, which are very important resources for ship upgrading. And then right here we have the shipwright, as well as the port task board and the salvaging station. And very conveniently, just south of the workbench right here, is the bank chest. This is probably one of the better locations as far as the bank and accessing the shipwright area to customize your boat. But anyways, let's hop onto our boat, the Wandering Cloud. I assume all my crewmates are here, and there they are. And as I said, it's been quite a while, to say the least, since I've done this, and I do believe there are plugins now. Again, I did this during the initial few weeks of release, and there definitely wasn't a trawling plugin of any kind. Not that trawling is particularly difficult, but as we know in this game, plugins just make everything easier. So let's head on over to the bluefin area, and then we'll figure things out. As we set sail here, it just occurred to me I don't even remember where it is. Now I believe for each set of fish, there's different shoals, like 2 sets of shoals that are available across the oceans. I want to say that one of the bluefin spots are somewhere in this area. Alright, I do believe we are in the general vicinity, but before we get started here, let me go over, well, first things first, let me point out, I tried to get a better camera angle, but it appears things are quite scuffed right now, so this will have to do. In our cargo hold here, I've placed in find fish offcuts. There are regular offcuts as well, but when you're using, or when you're looking for high tier fish, such as the bluefins, you're going to want to use find fish offcuts. And of course also for the marlins, which are 24 healing food. And next to it we have fish crates. That way we can store as many fish as we can. And with 124 crates, honestly, we could be here for quite a while. We're probably not going to fill all of those up, but that's just what we had in the bank, and I took them all out since they're stackable. And then of course we have our crewmates. We have one person on the helm. We have a level 4 deck handiness in Cabin Boy Jenkins on one of the nets, and we'll be on one of the nets ourselves as well. And then we have Jolly Jim on the chum spreader. I believe the find fish offcuts in combination with the chum spreader is going to net us more yield. We've caught up with the bluefin shoal. Looks like I was in the right area after all. We're currently using the deep sea trawling plugin for the first time here, and it has a lot of useful information. Not only does it map out the route the shoal is going to be going in, but it also tells you a time estimation as to when you need to move with the shoal, and also to adjust your nets, whether you're raising them or lowering them as far as depth goes. Well, I believe we're going to get about 600 bluefins or so an hour, and we might be able to snag the occasional marlins from the, I forget what it's called, but occasionally this shoal does turn into a different type of shoal where you have the ability to earn fish that are either 1 higher or 1 lower than the current fish you're going after. So in our case, it's going to be yellowfins as well as marlins. It's occurring right now, actually. Here we have what is known as a, if I could just simply right click on it, a glistening shoal instead of bluefin. Glistening shoal is now going to offer us the yellowfins. You can actually kind of see it in the water right there. I guess to further explain trawling, whenever the shoal is on the move like this, you're not going to catch too many fish, although it is important to stick with it in order to maximize your gains. But where you earn the big bucks and catch all the fish is when the shoal stops moving at these highlighted squares. Now, whenever the shoals pause like this, you are going to have to adjust your nets 1 time. So that's all there is to it. It's not overly complicated, and of course the plugin does help. It just tells you exactly when you need to do it. But if you're not really a plugin Andy and you're kind of averse to it, it's honestly not too hard to figure out without the plugins. I mean, heck, I managed to do this during the first few weeks of release when there was little to no information and definitely no plugins. So by no means is this hard to figure out. And as you fish, fish are going to end up in your net, in which you can right click collect from. Now I did this once already, and once you right click that option, you have the ability to collect it to your inventory or send it to the cargo hold. And if you have fish crates in there, they'll go directly into the fish crates. You do have to keep that in mind, as there is a cap to how many fish you can hold in the nets. So for the past who knows how many minutes now, here I am explaining away trawling as if I'm some expert, and I just made a very embarrassing realization. Now, everything I explained in terms of the concept is trawling is correct. However, I am at the wrong location. If I had simply read the game chat or even right-clicked the shoal as soon as I got here, I would have known that this is a halibut shoal, and the glistening shoal that occasionally occurs offers up yellowfins, which is exactly what we saw when we saw the glistening shoal, but I didn't connect the dots then. Where are the bluefins? I do believe they're also somewhere in this area. Maybe it's this one south of Sunbleak after all. Let's head on over there and find out. And as we make our way over there, over on 416 Hero, we've been crafting away, and I did have to downgrade back to rubies as we're out of diamonds once again. But that is not an issue whatsoever because we just hit 90 crafting. We are done for now. You can see here, members can now craft onyx amulets, redwood birdhouses, that's the big ticket, breakdown armadillion armor, and fortify Missouri armor. Well, I've really enjoyed my time here at the Mist Guild. As I discussed previously, this is a very nostalgic area for me as I've spent countless hours bank standing at this specific spot, doing various skills to 99. But we can't get too cozy here. We gotta step back out and do 99 agility, because we could just as easily stand here for the next hundreds of hours doing herb lore, crafting, and even fletching if we choose to go that route. I still haven't exactly decided on the exact methods there, but the point is, let's not get too cozy. Let's get out of here. Let's head back to the rooftops. As we sail the ocean looking for the correct shoal we should be at, I will say though, fishing halibuts was not a complete waste of time. Halibuts are actually a better Karamban, more or less. Now, is this the correct shoal? Bluefin shoal, alright. We're at the correct location now. Let's get to it. Just as we had the glistening shoal at the halibut shoal area, we have the vibrant shoal, and this one is going to net us marlins. We've been out here for quite some time. Let's go ahead and check our cargo hold and see what the situation is like. We still have a whopping 43 crates left, so each crate here is going to be 10 fish, so 59 bluefins, that's 590. Not too bad. And earlier we had that mishap of going to the halibut shoal instead of the bluefins, so we got 100 halibuts there. And then through the other types of shoals that occasionally appear, we've gotten 20 yellowfins and a whopping 100 marlins. That's actually really good. And then these are, I guess, extra ones that didn't quite yet fill up to a crate. So we haven't been out here too long, but I think I'm ready to get back to Vardorvis. So let's get these fish cooked up and then gear back up again. Making my way to Vardorvis, let's pick up where we left off at 1800 KC. Let's take a look at the collection log again real quick. We're missing the Executioner's Axe Head and the pet as we're rudely interrupted by some strangled. Relatively recently, we managed to get 1 gold ring, so we're 1 out of 3 on the Ultor ring. Let's see if we can get another ring. Other than that, unfortunately, it's been pretty quiet here at Vardorvis. And now in the background, instead of crafting, we're running laps. This might be a little bit more difficult. KC 1811, we got ourselves a blood quartz. That's something, but that wasn't what I had in mind. Completely different day now, and we're currently working on KC 1900. A nice little milestone there, and while I did initially say we were going to get to 2000, I think I'm going to have to call it after this one. I've been doing some thinking along the grind with this, and honestly, I'm getting... It's crazy to say, but I'm getting burnt out from Vardorvis, I think. And my eyes are literally burning. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the intensity of the Vardorvis grind, or maybe it's the white backdrop, or maybe a combination of the two. And I don't even think I've been going that hard here at Vardorvis. I've been spacing out the grind a fair bit, but every time I come here, before long, my eyes quite literally feel quite dry, so... Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've had this issue at God Wars as well with the white backdrops. But KC 1900, we get 67 adamant ore. Let's get out of here. Let's go over to the POH and restore our stats. Admittedly, it does feel a little bad about setting our 2000 KC goal and then not meeting it. However, We always had the stance of maintaining flexibility on this account and doing what we feel like in the moment, because at the end of the day, our main objective is to be maxing 416 hero, and we're just keeping ourselves occupied doing things we actually want to do on this account. And unfortunately right now, another 100 more Vardorvis KC is not one of those things. And let's check in with 416 hero. We're back on the rooftops as I mentioned before, and we're just 112k EXP shy from 88 agility. Honestly, pretty good progress there, considering agility is a pretty slow skill relative to others, especially our previous grind of doing crafting, in which we have another 9 levels to go, but we'll return to that at a later date. Now, the ongoing thing in the background has always been Hunter, and we're just 10 birdhouse runs away from 88 Hunter. Looking ahead as to what's to come in terms of agility training, when we reach 90 agility, we're going to be transitioning over to the RD rooftops. Now, just as we had to take a step back from agility temporarily earlier to train our crafting levels up so that we would be ready for redwood birdhouses, when we reach level 90 agility, we will also be taking a step back before we actually do any RD rooftop courses, and that's to do the RD Elite Diaries. The RD Elite Diary is not only going to give us extra marks of grace, which is actually the less relevant thing for us, but it's also going to give us an EXP boost in terms of our hourly rates. So that's something we definitely have to do, especially considering that we're going to be looking at thousands upon thousands of laps at the RD rooftop. Not only that, but I believe the RD Elite Diary requires 90 or 91 smithing, and currently we are just 73 smithing. So all the previous conversations where we mentioned gold bars and gold ores, and we kind of ignored that at the end just to do crafting by means of battle staves and gems, well, we're going to have to deal with those gold bars anyways to train our smithing. Everything seems to work out quite well though, because obviously we're going to be going to the blast furnace where we're going to be doing a lot of running back and forth, and a higher agility level is certainly going to help with that. As for what's next on Wait For It, well, we're just going to have to wait for it because I need to rest my eyes.